The Raiders have just made a huge move, and this could indicate what the franchise is going to do at the quarterback position for 2024. We know just 4 days ago on Valentine's Day, there were numerous reports by major NFL outlets and insiders like Ian Rappaport saying that the Raiders are going to go all in and try to get their franchise quarterback this year, and they're also going to consider trading up. Look at this comment here. The Raiders have been in the market for a quarterback for 2024 with a potential move up in the draft and looking into the position in free agency. The Raiders moved on from Jimmy Garoppolo recently. The release of Jimmy G has not been official yet, but the release of Jimmy Garoppolo is coming soon, likely going to happen before March 5th. Because Jimmy Garoppolo violated the PED policy, the Raiders are going to have a substantial amount of cap space, and they're going to be able to get out of his injury guarantees of $13 million this upcoming year. Right now, overthecap.com has the Raiders at $35 million in cap space, but that is going to increase by roughly $26 million due to the fact that the Raiders are not going to have to pay Jimmy Garoppolo's guaranteed money. So the Raiders will be entering free agency with $61 million in cap space. What could they do? Could they go after a quarterback like Baker Mayfield? The big news happening with the Buccaneers is the fact that they're using their franchise tag on Winfield Jr., this safety. They are not going to use their franchise tag on the quarterback Baker Mayfield. Keep in mind, every NFL team is only allowed to franchise tag one player. This means that if Baker Mayfield and the Bucs cannot come to a long-term agreement on a contract, it is very possible that he will test free agency and try to get the most money possible. Why wouldn't you do that if you're Baker Mayfield? This is his prime right now. This is likely the last time he's going to be able to get a major contract, and if he tests free agency, the Raiders would be dumb to not at least inquire and see what's up with this guy who was nearly the comeback player of the year. The Raiders could also be players for Justin Fields, as he has unfollowed the Chicago Bears on social media, and we have reports by people like Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated saying that many teams did inquire with the Bears for Justin Fields' services at quarterback at the Senior Bowl in February. Were the Raiders one of those teams? The Raiders offensive coordinator Luke Getsy is, after all, Justin Fields' former offensive coordinator with Chicago the past 2 seasons. Many people have speculated that they have a rocky relationship due to some cryptic comments by Justin Fields about the coaching, about the play calling in Chicago, but nonetheless, they do have chemistry and experience working together, which goes a long way in the NFL. However, Chicago is definitely moving in a different direction with the quarterback position, as Fields is no longer following them on Instagram, and these days in the social media world, that's a huge deal. Adam Schefter and many others have speculated that the cost for Justin Fields' services would be something like a second-round pick. Russell Wilson is also going to be looking for a new team in 2024, as his mansion in Denver is for sale. He is accepting offers on his mansion in Denver, which is a huge indication that he is not going to rejoin the Denver Broncos for 2024. Some people thought that maybe he would restructure his contract to stick with Sean Payton and the Broncos in 2024, but it looks like once you bench the guy towards the end of the season, you burn that bridge and Russ is going to go elsewhere. The main perk of grabbing somebody like Russell Wilson is the fact that the Denver Broncos are going to be paying the majority of his contract, so you could get Russell Wilson for a price that is as cheap as a rookie quarterback. Fox Sports NFL does view the Raiders as a possible destination for Russell Wilson, along with the Atlanta Falcons and the Pittsburgh Steelers. If all three of these teams are interested in Russell Wilson, it's going to come down to what Russ wants. What team does he want to play for? Because money and a contract really will not be an issue since he's already being paid by Denver anyways. So between these 3 quarterbacks, who do you think the Raiders should pursue? Baker Mayfield, who could be commanding north of $36 million a year, Justin Fields, who will be about $6 million a year, or a cheap Russell Wilson looking to make a comeback in his career? What should the Raiders do? The Raiders have already done a lot in terms of coaching. They have made tons of hires on the offensive side of the football. Most notably, they hired Rich Scangarillo as their quarterbacks coach. He was once an offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos. Deep in his career in 2009, he was an offensive quality control coach for the Oakland Raiders, but most recently he was fired as the offensive coordinator for Kentucky. Prior to that, he was working with the San Francisco 49ers in 2021 as their quarterback coach, and then in 2020, most notably, he was a senior offensive assistant for the Philadelphia Eagles the year that they drafted Jalen Hurts. So the man has had a rocky career. He's been fired here and there, but he does have a lot of experience with modern dual threat quarterbacks, more specifically USC's Caleb Williams, who he did help with some pre-draft prep. Antonio Pierce is an inexperienced head coach, but he is getting a lot of experienced veteran head coaches to help him out. We know previously Antonio Pierce hired the former Bengals head coach Marvin Lewis to be a senior defensive assistant. This guy has a long-term relationship with Pierce, and now the Raiders and Pierce have made another decision, bringing in some vet coaching experience to help out their head coach. They have hired Joe Philbin, the former one-time Dolphins head coach, to be their senior offensive assistant. Joe Philbin did cross paths with Davante Adams at a certain point when he was hired by the Green Bay Packers as their offensive coordinator in 2018. He then followed the head coach Mike McCarthy to go help out with the Dallas Cowboys offensive line, but eventually he was let go in 2022. Most recently, he worked with Ohio State University as an offensive analyst. The man is 62 years old right now, and this is a very good gig for him, working with the Las Vegas Raiders and Antonio Pierce. And now Pierce has two different guys outside of his coordinators to give him information, to teach him how to be a head coach, to let him know what is up and what is going on. You got Marvin Lewis helping out Pierce with the defensive side, and then you got Joe Philbin helping out with the offensive side. To me, this indicates that Mark Davis really wants this to work. The Raiders owner Mark Davis could be saving some money not hiring all these different coaches, but it seems like he really wants this Antonio Pierce hire to pan out, and he's giving him all the necessary tools, all the people and the help possible to make sure that he is a successful head coach. In some ways, if you want to be more critical, he's making sure that Antonio Pierce doesn't have any excuses. But what will be the right call at the quarterback position? That is what is on everybody's mind. The new offensive coordinator Luke Getsy, who does have some experience with Justin Fields like we mentioned earlier, he recently had his press conference and he was asked about quarterback Aiden O'Connell, the man who is going into year 2 of his career with the Las Vegas Raiders. And he had some positive things to say about him, saying that the way the team rallied around him speaks volumes about Aiden O'Connell. I was originally more critical of Aiden O'Connell, but we have Derek Carr saying what's up to the young quarterback in Las Vegas at a volleyball matchup. These guys seem like they have a good relationship with each other, even though a lot of people would assume it would be awkward. You're shaking hands with a guy who sort of took over your spot in Las Vegas. But obviously Derek Carr is a class act, a true professional, and so is Aiden O'Connell. And maybe this guy could turn it around in year 2 if somebody like Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator of the Raiders, really does believe in him. But either way, Aiden O'Connell is going to have every single opportunity to go out there and compete with whoever the Raiders bring in at quarterback. I was also stoked to see this hire as the running back coach for the Raiders. The Raiders are continuing the trend of hiring former players at positional coaching positions, and now they have Cadillac Williams as their running back coach. This is the man who was selected number 4 overall by John Gruden and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Back in the day, John Gruden was all about Cadillac Williams. He knew he wanted to draft him from day one. Even at the Senior Bowl, he did not have him run the football at all while he was coaching the Senior Bowl because he wanted to make sure nobody touched his Cadillac. After being an assistant at Auburn, it will be interesting to see if the former first-round pick running back could parlay this into a big-time NFL coaching career. A lot of people have speculated, can the Raiders trade up to pick number 3 with the New England Patriots? Chicago Bears at pick 1 look like they're going to grab Caleb Williams. Pick 2 with the Washington Commanders, they look like they're set to grab a top quarterback, especially now that they have Cliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator. But will the Patriots select a quarterback at pick number 3? The Raiders could trade up to pick 3. This happened last year with the Houston Texans when they traded up to get CJ Stroud, and the Texans had to give up a first-round pick, another first-round pick in 2024, and a very high second-round pick along with the third-round pick. So 2 first-round picks, a second and a third to trade up to pick number 3 and grab CJ Stroud. That's worth it to me if the Raiders want to go all in and grab Jaden Daniels of LSU at pick number 3 from the New England Patriots. I think you got to make it happen. Yeah, you can sign a veteran free agent quarterback like Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins, but that's going to be nearly $40 million a year. You can trade for Justin Fields, but I think he's a wild card and will ultimately be a bridge quarterback. And Russell Wilson, yeah, it's cheap, but that's a huge gamble. Why not check check off this box. Why not grab your franchise guy, somebody that your head coach Antonio Pierce really believes in? I think the Raiders, and I hope they do this, go all in and make it known before free agency that they're trading the haul to grab somebody like Jaden Daniels. I want to know your thoughts on this in the comments below. By the way, I'm creating a film, a Raiders film. I previously made the Josh McDaniels film, which has 1 million views. Very proud to say that. But we have another film in the works, and hopefully it'll be out by tomorrow night, perhaps the next morning. It is going to be a great, entertaining saga of some Raiders history, and I know you'll love it. So be sure to check that out. My name is Wi-Fi Willie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.